Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. On behalf of the crew, welcome aboard World YMCA Flight 182014, departing from Estes Park, Colorado, going to a journey into our future. This journey will take us to many parts of the planet with multiple stops along the way.
Hello, this is the co-captain speaking. Currently in Estes Park, the winds are favorable with excellent visibility and vision. The ground temperature is 26 degrees Celsius, which is around 78 degrees Fahrenheit. And ladies and gentlemen, when we are airborne, this journey will take us 144 hours, which is 8,640 minutes, and that is 6 days. The cruising altitude for this flight will be 2,441 meters, exactly the altitude of Estes Park.
We're expecting a very smooth flight ahead. So at this time, please be prepared while I turn off the seatbelt sign.
This flight, WC-18 2014, is a little different from most. In fact, we encourage you to move freely around the cabin, say hello to people, get to know them, even go on excursions, and generally stay out of your seats for the duration of the journey. Our onboard crew has prepared a lot of good things for this journey, and we just want to say thank you to all YMCAs around the world for making this journey possible.
In just a few seconds, we will be full speed on the runway, so please prepare for takeoff. I hope you enjoy this week, and if there's anything that any of us can do for you, please let us know.
And now our crew will give you some very important instructions for the duration of our flight. So please pay close attention, even if you are a frequent flyer. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, welcome on board. We are now cleared for takeoff, so please get ready to start. And ahead of us, blue skies and unforgettable moments.
Dear participants, welcome aboard this WC-18 2014 flight headed for youth empowerment. We thank you for joining us on this trip. Our main priority is to ensure that you will all have a fantastic time during your stay here at Estes Park while we all work together towards a better world. Please stay with us for a few minutes while we go over some of the main safety procedures for a successful and enjoyable World Council. Number 1. There is free Wi-Fi aboard this flight. It is available in all the main conference areas and no password is required. We encourage you to use the internet to access the outside world during your stay here and share your World Council experience with people around the world. Number 2. Electronic devices can be used at all times and do never have to be turned on flight mode. We do, however, ask that you turn them on silent during events and sessions. Those of you who do not carry their own laptops or smartphones can use one of the many computers that have been made available at the Internet Access site. We ask that when you put content on the internet related to the World Council, you use our hashtag WorldYMCA to help us better connect on the internet. Number 3. To better remember your stay here at Estes Park, we encourage you to take a lot of photos. Remember that a photo is worth 1,000 words. Number 4. In the seat pockets in front of you, in other words, your conference bags, you will find a map of the Estes Park Center. Be sure to familiarize yourself well with the area to prevent you from missing out on or coming late to any activities that you might want to attend. Should you get lost, either physically or mentally, do not be afraid to ask anyone around for guidance or support. We're all friends and there's no question a stupid question. Number 5. If you have any concerns or questions related to our events, our activities, or anything related to the World Council, please feel free to tap any member of our staff, of our cabin crew on the shoulder, and they will be happy to help you any way that they can. You will know them from their red t-shirts marked with YMCA. Once again, I thank you for choosing the YMCA, where we all know it is fun to stay, and welcome you to our 18th World Council.
Maybe we're all different, but we're still the same. We all got the blood of Eden running through our veins. I know sometimes it's hard for you to see. You come between just who you are and who you wanna be. If you feel alone and lost and need a friend, remember every new beginning is some beginning's end. Welcome to wherever you are. This is your life. You made it this far. Welcome. You gotta believe that right here, right now, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Welcome to wherever you are.
Everybody's in and you're left out, and you feel you're drowning in a shadow of a doubt. Everyone's a miracle in their own way. Just listen to yourself, not what other people say.
When you feel all lost and on your own, remember everybody's different. Just take a look around. Welcome to wherever you are. This is your life. You made it this far. Welcome. You gotta believe that right here, right now, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. Be who you want to be. Be who you are. Everyone's a hero. Everyone's a star. When you wanna give up and your heart's about to break, remember that you're perfect. God makes no mistakes. Welcome to wherever you are. This is your life. You made it this far. Welcome. You gotta
Dear friends, welcome to the 18th World Council of the World YMCA in Estes Park. And it's a great pleasure for me to introduce for you our dear friend, the President of the World YMCA, Ken Colleton.
Thank you, Johan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 18th YMCA World Council in Estes Park, Colorado. Our first World Gathering took place in 1855 in Paris, France. In our recent era, the World Council convenes every 4 years. And each of those 4 years is a historic event in the history of the YMCA. And I'm sure you're going to experience that same history over these next few days. We are a record number for a World Council meeting. Over 1,300 YMCA friends and families from over 80 countries have joined us for this week. And I think that deserves a big thank you. And by the way, what a good time to have a World Council event. We're celebrating a big birthday this year. June 6th, 2014 is our 170th birthday as a YMCA organization, and we continue to be relevant and visible and become stronger each and every day. So thank you for that. We have an exciting program for you this week. With us are so many YMCA brothers and sisters that serve their communities from around the world. The genius of the YMCA is to serve over 13,000 local communities across the globe, but at the same time be connected to national and area and global fellowship through love, understanding, and Christian values amongst each of us. The beauty of these global sessions is that we come together to learn and share and inspire each other as to how we can change so many lives across our globe each day. And those are the lessons that we hope everybody learns over these next few days with the fellowship and friendship of the World Council of the World Alliance of YMCAs. And speaking of beautiful places and beautiful neighborhoods and beautiful communities, how about this beautiful Estes Park YMCA in Estes Park, Colorado, United States of America. I'd like to proceed to introduce the leadership of the YMCA of the USA. It's two very good friends that I personally have spent some number of years with on the YUSA board. The chairperson of YUSA, Christine Marks, and a friend and a mentor of mine for many years, Mr. Neil Nickel, President and CEO of the YMCA of USA. Chris and Neil, please.
Thank you, Ken. The U.S. YMCA movement is delighted to welcome the global YMCA movement to the United States. Our YMCA is deeply honored to host this prestigious event, and we appreciate the long journeys that so many of you have made all the way to Colorado. I'd like to thank the World Alliance of YMCA volunteer and staff leaders for their partnership and hard work to organize the World Council together with us. I'd also like to thank the YMCA of the Rockies for being a wonderful host and providing the most beautiful YMCA venue in the U.S. for this event. I'd also like to thank our three partners, Wells Fargo, the Redwoods Foundation, and Emerson, for their support of the World Council. The US YMCA is deeply committed to working together with the global YMCA movement to build a better future for youth and communities in the US and around the world through over 200 Y2Y partnerships, the World Service Campaign that raises resources to strengthen international YMCAs, global learning exchanges, and our dynamic young global YMCA leaders throughout the country. We look forward to a great week of sharing and learning together. Thank you.
Let me echo Chris's welcome, first to Estes Park, second to YMCA of the Rockies, and third to the USA, home of the 2014 World Cup champions. The symbolism of our invitation when we came to Geneva was not lost on us. To have the nations of the YMCA world gather in Estes Park brought home to us that, in fact, we in the United States are a nation of immigrants that reflects the diversity of all of the world's populations and in all the world's aspects. We live in an increasingly interconnected world, and our children will increasingly know no borders. The efforts here and our conversations and discussions to bring together the youth of the world and the YMCA's emphasis on our youth is really about helping our movement embrace full inclusiveness and all of the benefits that will come to our YMCA movement and the leadership we can show throughout the world. Welcome, enjoy yourselves, and if any of us can be of any help, please let us know.
May I take this moment to please introduce a very hard-working and special friend of the World Alliance. We've been working with Kent Meyer, CEO of the Rocky YMCA, since March of 2011, as we began planning this event soon after our Hong Kong event in 2010. So a very, very warm welcome for Kent, who has worked so hard with his staff and has some special greetings for us from some very important people. So, Mr. Kent Meyer, please join us.
Good afternoon. I bring you greetings today from the state government of the state of Colorado. Let me read to you what was passed by our state legislature. The state of Colorado hereby extends heartiest congratulations and commendation to the Young Men's Christian Association World Alliance. We are excited to welcome you back to Colorado and congratulate you on the World Council meeting in Estes Park at the YMCA of the Rockies. Existing in 119 countries as the largest youth-serving non-governmental organization in the world and serving more than 45 million people, we sincerely thank you for your excellent service and support that you bestow upon hardworking families and youth. Your representation around the world throughout low-income communities has not gone unnoticed. For your service to youth and their families, we show our gratitude. The activities you sponsor for youth development and furthering public participation in employment and education, health, civic engagement, and the environment are celebrated and greatly appreciated. An historic meeting is coming up, and we couldn't be more excited. We are proud of the YMCA of the USA and the YMCAs of Colorado as the official host of this prestigious worldwide meeting. The entire Colorado legislature appreciates the men and women of the World Council and all YMCAs and applauds and supports you in the continuation of your activities and services. Thank you again for your work and dedication to our community. Signed the 8th day of April, 2014, by Governor John Hickenlooper and the Colorado State Legislature. Welcome to Colorado, and welcome to the YMCA of the Rockies.
As part of our official opening, I'm going to ask Johan to join me as we take a roll call for our 83 countries that are here with us today at Estes Park. When we call your name, please give a little yahoo and a stand up and a wave for us so that we see that you're here at Estes Park today. Angola.
Argentina.
Armenia.
Aruba.
Australia.
Bangladesh.
Barbados.
Belarus.
Brazil.
Cambodia.
Cameroon.
Canada.
Cayman Islands.
Chile.
Colombia.
Costa Rica.
Czech Republic.
Denmark.
Dominican Republic.
East Jerusalem.
Ecuador.
Egypt.
England.
Estonia.
Ethiopia.
Finland.
France.
Gambia.
Gaza.
Germany.
Ghana.
Guatemala.
Haiti.
Honduras.
Special thanks for our last World Council, Hong Kong.
And maybe our next World Council, Iceland.
India.
Indonesia.
Ireland.
Japan.
Kenya.
Korea.
Hey, Korea. Kosovo.
Lebanon.
Liberia.
Macau.
Macedonia.
Madagascar.
Remind us to talk about banned sound items after this event. Thank you. Malawi.
Malaysia.
Mexico.
Mongolia.
Nepal.
The Netherlands.
New Zealand.
Nicaragua.
Nigeria.
Norge.
Pakistan.
Panama.
Paraguay.
Peru. China is not.
Philippines.
Portugal.
Romania.
Russia.
And I get this one. Scotland.
Senegal.
Sierra Leone.
Singapore.
Slovakia.
South Africa.
Spain.
Sri Lanka.
Sweden.
Switzerland.
Taiwan.
Tanzania.
Thailand.
Togo.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Ukraine.
Uruguay.
And I get this one, USA.
And they're on good behavior, I know. Vietnam. Welcome.
Wales.
Zambia.
And then we have some special guest, Y-Care International Associate Member.
Zimbabwe. That's the Z's, folks. Thank you very much. I declare the 18th World Council in Estes Park, Colorado, in quorum. Thank you very much, everybody. The governance of the World Alliance of YMCAs is conducted by a very, very special group of volunteers selected from around the world. And you'll be part of the elections for the next World Council later on this week. These folks are so special in regards to their time, spending their family time, a lot of conference calls, a lot of travel. But what a great fellowship of wonderful, wonderful people. And I was fortunate enough to have them as my peers on the World Alliance Executive Committee this year. I'd like to ask them to come, please, up on the stage and celebrate your accomplishments for 2010 and 2014. Please come up to the stage, Executive Committee. Let me first introduce two very special friends of mine that were elected on the same slate as I was in Hong Kong. My very good friends, Fernando from Mexico and Helen from New Zealand. Thank you very much for your work as Vice Chair and as well Treasurer of the World Alliance of YMCAs. Thank you, my friends. Next, I'd like to have join me our committee chairs who work to refresh and revamp and enlighten our governance and our image and impact and our strategy plans for the period of 2010 through 2014. Dear Vezi, on governance, Martin Meisner, my mentor and past president, Patricia Pelton from Canada on image and impact and risk. Please, my friends, thank you very much. Thank you. And then the rest of these fine folks, you'll see the names on the slide. Very, very dedicated, engaged, participative, bringing all the voices from around the world to help us govern and strategize and modernize our World Alliance of YMCAs. And I owe you a very big debt of gratitude for your commitment to our duty over the last several years. So thank you very much, my friends. Please stay on the stage for a moment if you don't mind. You may know that our governance is made up of our volunteers that are elected to the Executive Committee, as well as 4 very important members who they themselves are volunteers of our area alliances around the world. And let me say a special hello to the presidents of each of our alliances around the world, James, Mauro, Ed, and Joshua. Please join me over here. And thank you so much for your leadership of all of the national movements are combined in governance at the area level. So thank you so much for that. Also with us today is beginning in 2011. They would probably remember the exact date. We've had 2 individuals who have worked really hard with all of the planning committees around this World Council. And those 2 people who participated and led on behalf of our World Alliance Executive Committee, 2 very good friends, James and Courtney. So please, a big hand for the work that they did. While the Executive Committee is on the stage, I'd also like to make another important announcement. Part of the job of the Executive Committee is to ensure that we have a Secretary General that's elected each 4 years to lead us and guide us in our mission, in our vision. As you know, in Hong Kong in 2010, Mr. Reverend Johan Elphik was elected to be the Secretary General of the World Alliance of YMCAs. The Secretary Generals have 1 term and can be considered for a 2nd term as Secretary General of the World Alliance of YMCAs. We had an important deliberation in connection with the 2 candidates for presidency of the World Alliance, Mr. Peter Posner and Dr. Park. And today, together, as both the current Executive Committee and the future leadership, we deliberated on the Secretary General's position for the next 4 years. And let me read the resolution that was passed today. Resolved, as a result of 3 Secretary General satisfactory or exceeds expectations annual performance reviews, 2011 through the full year 2013, the 2010-2014 Executive Committee, in partnership, collaboration, understanding of process, and joint vision, of the World YMCA, agree to reappoint current Secretary General Johan Eltvik for the term 2014 through 2018. Let's hear it for Johan Eltvik. So our governance continues, and with great appreciation of both the Executive Committee, the volunteers from around the world, my peers and colleagues, and our Secretary General, Johan Eltvik, thank you very much. And Johan, I'm going to pass the mic over to you to talk about our wonderful staff at the World Alliance. So thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. And I have the pleasure not only of serving with this fantastic group of executive committee members and officers for the last 4 years. It has been a privilege, and we have had a fantastic journey together. But I've also been blessed with the champions, the best staff team that anybody could wish for. And I cannot stop thanking my staff for their fabulous achievements and for all the energy and investment over these 4 years. It's a deep felt thank you for the passionate work for the YMCA movement and for a deep going analysis of all the visions that we are developing and for journeying together on the new way. I will read the names and they will stand up. And first of all, Selma Saidi. Remain standing, please. Carlos Sanve. Romulo Dantas. Jos Varghese. Ian Green. Susan Watson. Samuel Diaz Fernandez. Claude Ladante. And a dear friend of us, and this is a little bit a sad moment, because our dear friend Jacqueline Rien, after having served the World YMCA for 23 years in a fantastic way, is eventually going to retire. And a very special thank you and applause for Jacqueline. Thank you, the world's best staff team. And then to my dear friends in the global staff team, which is a splendid group of people, and we are working closely together, and in this way bringing the areas and the World YMCA very closely together. And I want you to raise up and receive a warm applause. Kohei Yamada from Asia Pacific. And the man with many hats, Carlos Sanve from Africa Alliance. And a very special greetings and congratulations to Antonio Marinho, who was appointed yesterday in Laka. My good friend from Europe, Juan Simoes Iglesias. My good friend Marianne Roche from Canada. Tom Valentine from the USA.
And a welcome to a few other friends that have joined us, special friends that have reconvened with us at the World Council in Estes Park. Past President, Reverend Caesar Malabatsi. Caesar, where are you? And we've already recognized our good friend Martin Meisner as past president. So Martin, again, thank you very much.
Yeah. And then a very special partner, Weizmann International.
And with us today are 60 YMCA retirees from around the world that continue to join us at our World Councils. So, to the YMCA retirees, please stand. Okay. Yes. Greetings, my YMCA friends. On behalf of the World Alliance Executive Committee and staff, thank you to the World Council Host Committee, the YMCA USA International Committee, and our YMCA partners for your terrific efforts to host this World Council in Estes Park. Special thanks to the YMCA Rockies for bringing the World Council back to Estes Park, the host of the last gathering of the World Council in the United States in 1981. How many people were here in 1981? Show of hands. Good number, okay. Welcome back. Welcome to each of you who have traveled from around the world to attend this World Council. The strength and the passion of our worldwide movement is very evident in this room today. You know, and you will learn more about our YMCA's rich history of respecting and serving numerous language, cultures, histories, and living conditions as we serve 119 countries around the world. The YMCA serves the youngest toddlers around the world, as well as our most senior ages and all genders. As you saw from the slideshow earlier on, the YMCAs are present in the tiniest villages around our globe, as well as the largest cities. YMCAs serve areas of the greatest global needs, such as favelas and shanty towns. And YMCAs also serve abundant areas, rich with resources and philanthropy. We work together as a global movement to learn, share, and strengthen one another. YMCAs serve the health risks of our underserved countries, such as hunger and diuretic diseases. We also serve the health care of our developed countries, such as obesity and diabetes. YMCAs are present in the sea level valleys across the globe, as well as the highest of our mountaintops. And this week, my friends, we are here together amidst one of the highest mountain ranges, some 14,000 feet, 4,720 meters above sea level. From our windows, we can see the beautiful Long Peak. We can see Epsilon, and we can see Ramhorn touching the sky. This week, we are asking you to be mountaintop men and mountaintop women, sharing in a great responsibility to lead and govern our World YMCA into the future. So let us reflect on this opportunity. Said the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, live as on a mountain. Mountain heights cause spirits to soar. How can one be mentally small who associates with the magnificent bigness of mountains? The mountaintop man lives on an invisible mountain of the mind. His perspective is broad. His outlook is far-reaching. His spirit towers above all the storms of life. His mind is lifted up above doubt, above cynicism, and above despair. His vision is high above the fog of petty things. He looks beyond the obstacles to the promised lands of tomorrow. He sees the rainbows while little men battle with phantom shadows in the valleys. He sees the sun rise in the east while valley dwellers burn their lamps in darkness. His head is in the clouds, but his feet are bedded in the solid rock of fact and reason. He takes the risks. He dares the skies. He lives with the stars of his ideals. And although he may never quite grasp them, he keeps reaching toward them. So, my friends, let us be mountaintop men and mountaintop women for these next few days in Estes Park. From our glorious heights, please join us to celebrate our successes and increase our relevance and our visibility to better serve our global populations in need. Please join us on our way up the summit path to greater heights of mission and greater heights of service. Let us climb that path as one unified worldwide movement. May the Lord bless us and guide us in these next few days as we live together, work together, pray together, and be together on the mountain. Thank you very much. We welcome you to the 18th World Council of the World Alliance of YMCAs in Estes Park, and we declare the 18th World Council officially open. Thank you. The next section of our program is an important one. We work on our visibility, we work on our relevance to all of our 12,000 communities around the world, neighborhood by neighborhood. And around the world, there's neighborhoods and communities and countries that ask to be part of our global movement. We have restrictions around the governance, the memberships, the philanthropy, and the movement strengthening as we continue to grow our worldwide movement with very, very important programs, services, and mission to the populations we serve. Tonight is a special evening for us as we continue to celebrate our growth as a worldwide movement. And we have several applications from countries that have passed the governance requirements and the mission requirements to be part of our World Alliance of YMCAs and sign our Golden Book of memberships to add on to the current list of members that we spoke about earlier on. We've all spent a lot of time with these countries. Most of us have visited these countries to welcome them encourage them, pray with them, and bring them on to the World Alliance of YMCAs. So this is a very special event for us as we invite some friends to come up on the stage, sign the Golden Book, and be part of our World Alliance of YMCAs. Let me please start with YMCA Armenia. Now, this will be a special test for the gathering. These are actual official votes, so we're going to practice with our voting cards. So for those of you, let me see who's got their voting cards with them. The delegates who have their voting cards, let me see you hold them, please, high. Very good. Let me see the hands of the people who forgot their voting cards. That's why this is a good practice. Okay, YMCA Armenia. A motion, please, to accept YMCA Armenia into our family of YMCAs. Motion, please. Card, thank you very much. Show your cards. A second, please. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present YMCA Armenia.
Can you put the book there? Mm-hmm. And we have a pen.
And let me ask YMCA Cambodia to work their way up, please. YMCA Cayman Islands, YMCA of Georgia, Haiti, and Romania. Please work your way up. Thank you. All right, are they here? No.
Armenia is not here.
Okay. May I have a motion, please, to accept some very special friends of ours that have endured for several years through floods and disasters and have built an NGO that is second to none in a country that's growing and surviving and thriving, and very good friends of ours, YMCA Haiti. May I please see a motion for YMCA Haiti? And may I also see a second for YMCA Haiti, please? Thank you very much. YMCA Haiti, may you present yourself. Thank you. Thank you very much. Please sign in.
Thank you. And you can sign.
Which side? Haiti. Just sign. Just sign.
Just sign, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. May I have a vote, please, for our very good friends in the YMCA of Cayman Islands? And may I see a second for Cayman Islands to join our family? Thank you very much, Cayman Islands. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Here is the pen.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much. And how about our YMCA in Georgia? May I have a motion, please, for our YMCA in Georgia? Thank you. And a second? YMCA Georgia, please present yourself. Not here. YMCA of Romania. A motion, please. And a second? YMCA Romania. I know you're here.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just saying.
No? They have to be there in Romania.
Okay, thank you, and let's have a warm welcome to all the YMCAs who have joined our family. Two other governance appointments for the World Council, and then we'll proceed on with our program. Our first appointment will be a friend who has spent many World Councils with us. In fact, his first World Council was in Estes Park in 1981. Mr. Martin Meisner has agreed to become the legal counsel and advisor, constitutional advisor, for the affairs of the World Council in Estes Park 2014. Martin, thank you very much for your service as it continues. And finally, let me announce the steering committee that has been involved for some number of years and will continue to be involved every morning at 7 a.m. if you care to join them, as we discuss the ongoing processes, procedures, and protocols of a World Council meeting. May I ask the steering committee to please stand up and be recognized for the work that you've done and the work you're going to be doing over the next 5 days. Steering committee, please. Thank you very much for the pleasure of being here, and I'm going to turn the program over to the program. Thank you very much.
up hope, but failure's all you know. Remember all the sadness and frustration, and let it go.
Let it go.
Hey, didn't I see you last Tuesday?
Yes, this is my 5th time out here this month. How about you?
This is my 4th month. I've been doing these for 3 months now. Do you think they will see us before they close the office?
I doubt that.
Well, have you eaten lunch at least?
No, but it's always been like this. There are far too many people and not enough jobs. I don't know how to face my family anymore. The situation just keeps getting harder. I barely have enough money to make it through the month.
I know. Sometimes it's scary.
I know. Did you hear what happened downtown last week?
No.
People just like us showed up to a line just like this one and were crushed to death. 100 people applying for one position. All they wanted was a job.
How can something like this happen and I don't hear about it?
No one ever seems to want to know. In fact, I don't even think they want to hear about it.
I know. Sometimes I know.
You know, it doesn't have to always be this way,
Yes.
but it always seems to get worse. And in fact, I don't know if I can do it anymore. I'm so tired. I've even heard that people have been killing themselves out of desperation. I hope I never get to that point.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and every mountain shall be made low, and all the rough places shall be made plain, and all the crooked places shall be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Andrew, that was fantastic. That was really fantastic, inspiring. You know, I never get tired of listening to that speech. And the way you did it, it was just perfect. You know, I wonder how it was back then when Dr. Martin Luther King gave that speech to 10,000s of people.
I know. I can feel his passion. It's like he's right here with me as I speak his words. Thanks for coming to my rehearsal, by the way. It really means a lot.
Come on, it means a lot to all of us. You know how many young people like you with HIV positive who are struggling with suicide ideas would like to speak the way you just spoke?
They don't have to speak like me. What we need is to speak up together. Too many young people are suffering for good people to remain silent. Majority is suffering in silence. Our stories need to be told. I just hope people are ready to hear them.
You know what? I think they're ready. With such an inspiration like you, I think that will be just perfect. And you know what? You're so much stronger than your sickness.
Guys, have you seen what's going on?
I'm reporting here live from the Capitol. A violent hate crime against a young woman yesterday has drawn hundreds of protesters, many of them young people from around the country. There are thousands of people joining together across the world, joining in solidarity with these people to denounce what appears to be a violent hate crime. Tell us, what are your demands?
We want justice. We want peace. We want our family and friends to live free from fear. We want the violence to stop.
Can you tell me, where are you all from?
We're from the local YMCA, where everyone is safe with us and everyone is welcome. All we want is the same for young people who face discrimination of any kind.
Now, our sources tell us that the young woman was walking home yesterday when she was attacked. She didn't provoke a threat. She didn't provoke the attackers. She didn't threaten them at all. She was simply just there. Now, this is the first time an incident like this has happened in this city. Tell us, why should more people get involved after just one incident?
This is not the first time this has happened, and it is not only happening here. We just aren't talking about it. We're lying to ourselves to feel more comfortable.
Now, it looks like you're surrounded by many young people here. Isn't that enough?
I mean, look around. There are still many people who are simply continuing to watch. We know there were people watching when she was attacked. The truth is, change can't happen until we stop watching and start standing with those who suffer.
So then, is that what you're doing now?
No, we're standing here together. Not just for our friends, but because we believe that we cannot continue to stand by silent while young people around the world are faced with violence every day. The gang rapes in India, 77 students massacred in Norway, hundreds of school children kidnapped in Nigeria. We cannot stay silent.
Now, there are thousands of people around the world standing in solidarity with you to denounce this hate crime. Is there anything you'd like to share with them?
Yes, there is. This story belongs to all of us, but it has gone unheard and untold for far too long now. Nothing will change until we start talking. It is up to us to say enough.
Thank you very much for speaking with us. Eric, back to you in the studio.
Bob, thank you for your report. If you have just a moment, can you keep the protesters nearby? I have a couple follow-up questions. Bob, we're losing the signal. I can't hear you. Bob?
Unemployment has joined corruption and poverty as the most
in Britain are now unemployed, according to...
Talk about the skyrocketing youth unemployment. It's the latest in a flurry of meetings and measures since employment in various...
This is a reflection of the crisis. We know that Spain...
Dear YMCA friends, we are here today as part of the world's largest youth organization. And I want you to keep in mind that we are here for the better of the 1.8 billion youth inhabiting our planet today. This youth population is the biggest that our planet has ever seen, and it is one that is facing tremendous challenges. Although the opportunities for prosperity and happiness are greater than ever before, so are the challenges. Every day, the youth of today face discrimination and inequality due to social, economic, religious, and sexual identities and backgrounds. This is part of the untold story of young people, part of what we saw on the stage right here, and it's part of a story of injustice that needs to come to an end. On June 6th, the YMCA collectively raised its voice and stood up for young people around the world. This marks a new era in the history of our movement. For the first time, we have summarized what it is that we do and what it is that we are supposed to do. The common mission of the YMCA is youth empowerment. Youth empowerment is also at the core of the YMCA Change Agents project, a project that I and over 200 other young leaders from regions all across the globe have been part of over the last 1.5 years. And our mission is to, together with the World YMCA, unite this movement around the concept of youth empowerment. And as the name says, we are here to change. Now, as a YMCA change agent, and as a young leader and as a global citizen, I wish to share with you my vision for this movement. A vision which is both bold and highly important. My vision for the YMCA is one of a strong and vibrant youth movement, recognized for its unmatched efforts for youth globally, and grounded in our Christian foundation. Open to all, no matter where you come from, no matter who you are, always protecting God's creation. My vision is that the YMCA is a movement that walks the talk and is able to speak up and stand up for people when we see hardship, when we see injustice, and when we see youth who struggle. My vision is that the YMCA is a movement that is relevant to the young people of the world and is able to adapt to their needs and continuously and tirelessly work towards our goal of youth empowerment. My vision for the YMCA is that our movement involves young people in every single aspect of our work. Now, finally, I wish to tell you that this movement, it inspires me like nothing else. It allows me to meet some of the most inspiring people from all over the world. It gives me the privilege to work with change makers and activists carrying out miracle work every day, no matter the effort, always with a friendly attitude. And as I see all of the amazing work that each and every one of you are doing every day, I know that we can do this. Youth empowerment is running through each and every one of us. And now is the time to allow for this movement to stand up, rise up, and be that change that we envision. Now I am looking forward to doing that journey together with all of you. Thank you.
Speak up, speak out, speak up. Did you feel that too? A shift in the atmosphere. We're ready. The time is now, the place is here. And from what I see, I believe the moment has come to hear. in history that's here for the people who will inherit the earth. Add your voices, it's time to stop and be heard. Speak up, speak out, free yourself. Sometimes you gotta shout. Speak up, speak out. It's one for all and all for love. Speak up, speak out, speak up, speak out. When you feel small, it's easy to forget the power you have. So don't you let your voice be silenced or let people fade away. To plant the seed, it will crack the earth one day. Speak up, speak out, free yourself. Sometimes you gotta shout. Speak up, speak out. It's one for all and all for love. Speak up, speak out, speak up, speak out. The world's getting small, you can reach your hand from where you live to any foreign land. See past the little things that set us apart. Let's talk to each other, it's time we start. Speak up, speak out. The change is gonna come about. Reach out, reach in. With love, you have the strength to win. Speak up, speak out. A change is gonna come about. Reach out, reach in. With love, you have the strength to win. Speak up, speak out. A change is gonna come about. Reach out, reach in. With love, you have the strength to win. Speak up, speak out. Free yourself. Sometimes you gotta shout. Speak up, speak out. It's one for all and all for love. Speak up, speak out. Free yourself. Sometimes you gotta shout. Speak up, speak out. It's one for all and all for love. Speak up, speak up, speak out. Speak up, speak up, speak out. Speak up, speak out, speak up, speak
Now, my friends, it is time for me to introduce to you our keynote speaker. In 2013, she was named the First Nations Youth Achiever by Inspire. In 2011, she was selected as one of Toronto's 25 up-and-coming city leaders through Civic Action's Diversity Fellowship. The same year, she co-founded the Aboriginal Professional Association of Canada. She has been profiled by Forbes, CBC, and The Globe, among others. So the list is long, you can get that. But from Saskatchewan, Canada, I have the honor to introduce to you Gabriella Scrimshaw.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have to say, the energy in this room is unlike anything I have ever experienced in my life. It is incredible. Oh my goodness. 83 countries represented here today. and throughout the week. So let me try my best. Welcome, bienvenue, konnichiwa, ni hao, hola, and in my own Indigenous language, myself being an Indigenous woman who was raised in Northern Canada, Dene, Glanide. So I am very excited to be here this afternoon to share a little bit about my own journey of youth empowerment with you all here this afternoon. But I'm also a little bit intimidated because I am the only thing between you and your dinner. So I'll definitely do my best to keep us on time. Now, it is such an honor for me to be here this afternoon for a number of reasons. One, we are in one of the most awe-inspiring places that I've ever seen in my life. Oh my goodness, the mountains, the fresh air, it's all just incredible. It's hard to take in. But more than that, it's really an honor for me to have this stage in front of you here this afternoon, because I take a tremendous responsibility in that. You are all change agents affecting change in the communities where you live and work, and representing thousands of communities, serving millions of people around the world. And I am sincerely humbled to have this stage. Now, people often ask me how I got to be where I am today. And it usually doesn't come from, understanding that, I'm an Olympic gold medalist, I'm not a millionaire entrepreneur, I'm not anywhere that most people would think is marvelously exceptional. Instead, it usually comes from a place of understanding where I started. That as a young Indigenous woman who was born in Northern Canada, raised in Northern Canada, and raised in a single-parent household, that, quite frankly, the statistics dictate that I am not supposed to be standing on this stage in front of you here today. So I want to share with you part of my journey, part of how, more than the decisions of myself in my life, really it was through the decisions and encouragement of others that I'm able to be standing in front of you on this stage today. And in doing so, I hope to inspire you on your journey in empowering youth and really share with you that the work that you do really can and does change lives. I'd also like to share with you my vision. We heard a very bold vision up here only a few moments ago. Now, my vision for the world, I really think that we are at an exciting time, that globally we are standing on a precipice, that we are faced with this opportunity. The world is changing in ways that we've never really thought possible. Borders are being erased online. Youth all over the world have more information at their fingertips than at any other time, and that allows us in so many ways to scale the work that we're all doing in our communities. Now, in my home country of Canada, my vision for my country, and for many other countries, in fact, is to be a nation where every child has an equal opportunity to succeed and can reach their full and beautiful potential. Now, somebody once told me, they said, Gabrielle, you can't boil the ocean in a day. So what you have to do is you have to sort of focus on your own little small area to hopefully every day, taking your own little piece, that one day you can affect an ocean. And so for me, my area of focus has really been focusing on the Indigenous community in Canada, and specifically with Indigenous and non-Indigenous communities. On each and every one of my slides, you'll see my Twitter handle, so I encourage you to tweet along. We don't have time for a Q&A, unfortunately, but if you tweet me questions, absolutely, I will respond to you, and I'll also be around at dinner time as well. Now, in the Aboriginal community, we hold our elders in the highest esteem. They are the keepers of our knowledge, they are the keepers of our culture, and for thousands of years, they've kept that knowledge strong. Now, an elder in Northern Canada once told me, he said, the strength of who we are as Indigenous people comes from the fact that we speak from the heart, and that for thousands of years we've passed down our traditional knowledge, history, and culture through stories. So, to honor that elder, I really just want to share 3 stories with you here this afternoon. Now, the first story is a story about a stranger. The second story is a story of a leap of faith. And the third story is about footprints Now, with these stories, I'd like to share the power that each of you have to empower youth around the world. And that when we all work towards that common goal, I sincerely believe we can and will change the world. Now, growing up, the first story I'd like to share with you is a story about a stranger. But I think to really understand that, you have to understand sort of where I started in life and where I grew up. Now, in so many ways, this question of, how did I get to be where I am today is much more heavy when you understand really where I started in my life. You see, my mother is a warm Dene woman who herself was born in northern Saskatchewan in Canada. And she has a big smile and this beautiful, warm laugh. Now, she met my father in the 1980s, and she had been what we refer to in Canada as a survivor of the residential school legacy. Now, residential schools, for those of you who are not familiar, essentially, it was a dark chapter in Canada's history where they took hundreds of thousands of Indigenous youth away from their families and put them into these institutions in an attempt to assimilate them. But through that, it left a very big scar and legacy in the communities. And unfortunately, a lot of people from my community, the First Nations community in Canada, turned to, I guess, negative social influences to numb the pain, in particular things like alcohol. My mother was a survivor of this legacy, but in her own way went through some things and some challenges that I can never really imagine. And she herself had turned to alcohol at a younger age to start to numb the pain. Now, when I was born in 1988, 2 weeks after I was born, the police were called, and they found me in a motel room on a bed, swaddled there by myself, alone. And unfortunately, my mother had been out drinking that evening. Now, this was my start in life. And in so many ways, that little girl is not supposed to be standing in front of you here today. At this point in time in my life, my father made a very courageous decision where he decided to be a single parent and raise myself and my two older sisters on his own, while at the same time pursuing his dream of becoming an artist. But I have to tell you, although this was, my start in life, as I grew older and as we do, our memories start to form. And when I really think about the earlier years of my life, I'm just in awe of the beauty that was around me, having the honor to grow up in northern Canada. So even though we didn't have much, I always felt like we had everything we needed. My family would spend days on these deep blue waters, and we would spend the days in our fishing boat. And we'd be chanting songs, hoping that that would somehow increase our luck. We even had this rattle we would shake, and it was terrible because it always made it rain. So we learned that that didn't really work out that well. Our summers, we were surrounded by the smell of pine, just like we are today. We could hear the crunch of the underbrush as the kids, we ran through the woods. And we always seemed to smell like campfires because we constantly had them every single day, but I never really minded. Now, a few years later, after my father decided to move our family, our small family, to a new community to pursue his dream of being an artist, we moved to a small community in mid-central Canada. But this community was situated beside a Cree reservation called Beardy's and Okamasis First Nation. And it was in this community that our family got our shaky footing. You see, although there was so much beauty in my childhood, I can remember spending time at ceremonies and feasts and having elders come into our school. There was a lot of hardship that balanced with this beauty as well. You see, because my father was an entrepreneur and he was really pursuing his dream of being an artist, he was on the road all the time. My mother was no longer in our life. We met with her every couple of years or so. My oldest sister, Jessica, who's 10 years older than I, she'd moved out of the house when I was about 7 years old. And so at about the age of 13, my father was on the road, my mother wasn't around, my oldest sister wasn't around, And so really it was just me and my sister Glenda, my older sister Glenda. Now she dealt with this isolation in a way a little bit differently than I did. And she ran away. And not the kind of runaway where she ran away for a weekend and then came back, 2 days later and she was grounded. Like, she ran away and she didn't come back. So needless to say, this left me in a really dark space, a very alone space. And to that song that we heard earlier, I was that child who was lost in desperation. Because when I looked around me in my life, like so many youth around the world, I thought everyone who's supposed to love me and be here for me in my life isn't. No one's in the house every day when I come home from school. What is my purpose? Why am I here? And I can vividly remember late one evening when I was 14, sitting on the edge of my bed, thinking, maybe the world would be a better place without me. And I don't think anybody would miss me if I was gone. But this brings me to my first story, a story about a stranger. My life changed in a way so profound, but it happened in a moment that was completely out of my control and completely a moment by chance. See, when I was 15, a friend of a teacher decided to swing by and teach my class about some of the travels that he had done and done development work with youth around the world. And he just really piqued my interest. He was talking about places that I only read about in books, that I only seen on the TV, back when the television and, channels like Discovery Channel actually had learning programming. And he was talking about all these places, and I was just completely intrigued. And so after his presentation, we had a class of about 20 people, I walked up to him really just to, talk to him about his travels. So 1 minute and one question turned into 10 minutes, and I was telling him about the places that I wanted to go. But then he started to ask me questions. And he started to ask me about my life, and he started to ask me about my family, and so I told him. I told him of the challenges that I was facing, that I felt lost of really any hope. But I also told him about my dreams, that I wanted to visit these places, that I wanted to impact the world, and that I wanted to, be a change agent in some way, shape, or form for my own community, but really never thinking it could ever be possible. But what he said next are words that'll stay with me for the rest of my life. He said, "Gabrielle, I want you to know I've traveled the world, and you're one of the most amazing young women I've ever met." And that floored me. I thought, you've traveled the world. You've met so many people. How am I amazing? But what it did for me was so profound. Like those youth that we saw on the stage earlier, it helped me find my light. It gave me a small seed of hope to cling on to, but a small seed of hope that eventually grew into me working through a lot of my own insecurities and finding my own voice, focusing on my education as a young person. And, in 1 hour of his time, he managed to change my life. Now, if you go to the next slide, please. The next one. Now, another day that really changed my life happened on March 21st, 2006, because that was the day that my nephew Ethan was born. You see, what I remember so vividly about that day, I was only 17, was sitting there in the hospital holding Ethan for the very first time. And like I'm sure there are parents in this room, or if anyone in here has little cousins, nieces, nephews. That time that you hold a newborn baby is so precious. And for me in my life, holding Ethan for the very first time, I had never felt that kind of overwhelming love before. And I just remember thinking to myself, I'd do anything in my life to make his life better. But what I also, realized in that moment of pure happiness was that I was also overcome with sadness. Because I realized for Ethan that although he was born only hours before, that because of who he was, being a young Indigenous boy in Canada, that he would have to face some very daunting circumstances, not unlike the ones I'd had to face growing up. And I couldn't understand that injustice. Understanding that before Ethan had the opportunity to live his first day, to make his first choice, that so much of his life was already made up for him. Now, since that day, if you go to the next slide, I've been blessed to have 2 other little miracles in my life. Now, these aren't my children. They are the children of my 2 older sisters. So Sydney is Ethan's little sister. And Sydney is a vivacious little princess. I'm so proud of her. 2 weeks ago, she had her first ballet recital. So I saw the pictures, and she had her pink tutu, and she was up on a big stage, and I was so proud of her. And she's also just the most courageous, brave little 5-year-old. She has her 5th birthday coming up here in about a week. And Quaid, I call him the best birthday gift I ever received, because Quaid was born on my birthday. And so this past March, I celebrated my 26th birthday, and Quaid here celebrated his 1st. And he is just the most content, sweetest little baby boy. I mean, if you look at those cheeks, all you want to do is pinch them all day. And these kids, in so many ways, are the light of my life. But it saddens me to tell you that because they're all Indigenous in Canada today, that, again, they will have to grow up facing some very difficult circumstances, not unlike the ones that I and my family had to face growing up. Because they are First Nations, they are 3 times more likely to be unemployed. They are 5 to 6 times more likely to commit suicide, an issue that has already affected my family, my immediate family. Sydney, because she's an Indigenous woman, she's 11 times more likely to be reported missing. Because they go to school on reservation in Canada, they are more likely to drop out of high school than finish it. And thinking about this injustice, thinking about that moment when Ethan was born, these kids, like so many others, like millions of them around the world, they don't have a say in the world that they grow up in. But an incredible moment for me was understanding that I do have a say in the world that they grow up in, and that I should fight tooth and nail every single day to see that change happen. Now, this was really a starting point in my life for a major transformation. So if you go to the next slide, there's this incredible quote by Kofi Annan, and he said, "To live is to choose, but to choose well, you have to know who you are and what you stand for, where you are going and why you want to get there." And for me, it was after these realizations that I understood that I had a choice, that I could continue to be motivated by my own wants and needs, or I could start to live in a way that would make their lives better. And I'm happy to say I chose the latter. I learned early in my life that sometimes it's what you say, but just as importantly, if you don't say something, that has an impact too. And I decided that even though I was not a very confident young person, even though I was struggling to find my own voice, that I would do what I could to speak up, because these kids, unfortunately, couldn't. Now, the second story I want to tell you is about a leap of faith. Now, at this point in time in my life, after Ethan was born, I took, at the time, a seemingly small but a very large leap of faith in my life, and it was really the first of many. And I left my small community in northern Canada, and I became the first person in my family to pursue and complete a post-secondary education. Now, in hindsight, I could have never imagined how transformative those 4 years would have been, the first time I stepped foot on campus. It was at the University of Saskatchewan, which I guess is the equivalent of a state college here in the United States, but it was at the University of Saskatchewan where I found my first mentor. A mentor who taught me how gentle nudges of encouragement have the power not only to transform somebody's day, but also somebody's life. Through my mentors and constant encouragement, I applied to programs, so many of which I thought were way, too competitive that I'd never get into. And to my constant surprise and her relentless "I told you so's," I would get in. And I always thought that I was never smart enough to do it. I never felt comfortable in any of those situations in these programs. But I realized that it was an opportunity for me to start to change my community, and then maybe one day my nation, and then maybe one day the world. But these programs that I'm speaking of had an incredible transformative experience on me for other reasons as well. Because through them, they made my dream of traveling the world a reality. And like so many people, I'm sure every single one in this room, I was infected with the travel bug. And I realized that, that's a lifelong illness, and it's one that has no cure. And over the 4 years of my university, I traveled to 20 countries on 5 continents. And it was a whirlwind. I was able to, there's delegates here from Australia. I did an exchange in Australia. I lived with a family in northern Thailand. I was able to live with them and their family. It was beautiful, and eat their very spicy food. And then I also, I was able to build a community center with an indigenous community in northern Peru. And it was through all of these experiences in these programs that I was able to see the incredible beauty and resiliency of my indigenous brothers and sisters around the world. And so this really, created a passion in me to come back to Canada, my home country, and learn about my own community in a more focused yet holistic way. And so when I came back to Canada, armed with this new knowledge, what I started to understand was that although Canada had taken a number of steps to start to reconcile its relationship with its indigenous community, that so much more had to be done. And I realized in this moment that if I wanted to see things change, and that I saw the change that needed to happen, that if I waited on the sidelines for somebody else to step up, for somebody else to speak up, that I might wait my entire life. So I worked through every bone in my body, every ounce of insecurity that I had, and I decided that I wanted to live my life in a way that, was the change that I wanted to see in the world, and hopefully, and in doing so, inspire others to do the same. Now, one of the biggest leaps of faith in my life came in 2010, so only about 4 years ago. It's actually less than 4 years ago now, when I moved to Toronto, Canada. So if you go to the next slide. Now, when I moved to Toronto, I'll never actually forget the day that I landed, because, it was the first time in my life I had purchased a one-way ticket, and it was so overwhelming. I moved to the city where I had no friends, I had no family, and I was only armed with this belief that, maybe I could change the world. And maybe I could make a difference. And people often ask me, especially in that moment when I decided to make the decision to move, they would say, "Gabrielle, why are you leaving your community? Why are you leaving, your community in northern Canada?" But what I realized was that I had the opportunity to be an ambassador for my community. You see, in Toronto, Canada, they have 80% of Canada's head offices. And I realized that the Indigenous community, at least, was severely underrepresented in any kind of leadership position there. And so what I decided to do was to move to this new city where millions of people were. I grew up in a community with about 700 people, so it was very different than where I grew up. And that I would try my hardest, try my darndest to sit at these boardroom tables where these decisions were being made that affected the community where I grew up, that affected my family members, and put a face to the issues that Canadians heard about on the 6 o'clock news. And so I also moved there to pursue a career in finance. I had this really amazing opportunity to work in a leadership program out on Bay Street, which I guess is like the equivalent of Wall Street in New York, although not nearly as cutthroat, I'm told. And, it was an incredible competitive leadership program that I was in. And as you can imagine, this was not that long ago. I was in my early 20s. I had no friends. I had no family. I was in a program where I thought for sure they would realize how stupid I was any day now. I was incredibly scared, and I was incredibly intimidated, but not only for the reasons why you'd think. You see, in the years before, when I was in university, I'd been on this incredible learning journey, learning about myself as a young Aboriginal woman, and I didn't want to lose that. I wanted to keep that strong. So what I realized was that there was a gap for any kind of program or organization that would support Indigenous leaders on their cultural but as well as professional journey. So 2 years ago, I started an organization that focuses on Indigenous leadership called the Aboriginal Professional Association of Canada. And in 2 years, we've grown the organization to over 550 members across Canada. And you see, all I wanted to do was create a safe space for Indigenous professionals and young Indigenous people as well to develop themselves from a cultural perspective, but at the same time, from a leadership perspective, to allow them to seek mentorship, to grow their networks, be aware of more opportunities, and in doing so, amplify this effect where we would have more Indigenous people sitting at these tables, putting faces to the issues that people heard about. And in reflection, this organization that reaches hundreds of people across Canada, and by extension, hundreds of families and hundreds of communities, would never have come to life if I wasn't encouraged to take a leap of faith by my mentor all those years ago to apply to those programs, and when the time came to take my biggest leap of faith and move across the country with the belief that I can make a difference. Now, the last story I want to leave you with, and if you go to the next slide, it's a story that an elder once told me. And it's a story about footprints. Now, who here has been to Canada? Put your hand up. Who here has been brave enough to go to Canada in the wintertime? Actually, that's a pretty good number. Good for you. That's great. So those of you who've been to Canada in the wintertime, you've definitely had your fair share of snow. And what you'll know about snow is that it's hard to walk through the deep snow. And this elder was telling me the story of him and his young son. One day they were walking through the bush in northern Canada, trudging through that deep snow. They had the weight of their boots, and they were walking, and it wasn't easy. And as they were walking, his little son slowly started to follow behind him. And as they were walking, his son said, "Dad, it's a lot easier for me to step where you've stepped." You see, the truth is that each day, each and every one of us are carving a path, and we're creating footprints for others, millions of people around the world to follow. And what that elder also told me, he said, "Gabrielle, make sure you walk in a good way. Whatever that means to you in your heart, make sure you walk in a good way." I started this presentation today sharing with you how I'm not supposed to be on this stage here today. In so many ways, it was through the footprints of others, the choices and the decisions of others, that I've been able to stand here in front of you. Whether it was that student presenter when I was 15 years old who saved my life with a few kind words, whether it was that mentor in university who encouraged me to take a leap of faith and to make me believe that I had the power to change the world if I really wanted to. But in following these footprints that they've given, I've also found the courage to make my own. And when I think about my footprints and I think about what I want to see, the change that I want to see in the world, it's very simple. I want to live in a world where every child, no matter who they are or where they're from, has the equal opportunity to reach their full and beautiful potential. In closing, I'd like to leave with you 3 reflections based on the stories that I've just told you. 1, never underestimate the power of one moment and a few kind words. 2, take a leap of faith, and in doing so, I'm sure you'll encourage others to do the same. 3, remember your footprints, and think about that elder saying, walk in a good way, whatever that means to you. Over the next week, you are going to be discussing youth empowerment. I hope through these stories you can see how your work truly can and does make a difference. Globally, there are 1.8 billion young people around the world, millions reached by the work that you do every single day. Now, as you go into the next week, I want you to imagine every person in this room empowering one, just one youth. Now, like I said before, statistically speaking, I am not supposed to be standing on this stage in front of you here today. But it was through the encouragement of others and through their empowerment into me that I've been able to now turn around and do the same for others. So, when you think about empowering that one person and you think about the footprints that you're making, remember that when you're empowering one youth, you're giving them permission to do the same. Thank you, miigwech, merci. Thank you.
Thanks so much. I'm just so proud to say that I'm from the same province as Gabrielle. You know, when I was looking at Gabrielle's bio in preparation for doing a quick thank you for Gabrielle, it states that Gabrielle is passionate about diversity, leadership, and innovation. We certainly heard that. In Canada, right now, we have got a brand new forum. It's been going for about 2 years that is bringing Aboriginal youth and non-Aboriginal youth together. And the principles are respect, reconciliation, reciprocity, and relevance. And surely we have seen that picked up and resonated through Gabrielle's presentation. In the World Alliance of YMCAs, we have a youth empowerment model, which we know as space, transformation, and impact. And when Gabrielle said she was transformed, people gave her a chance. Her teacher, her university profs gave her a chance, but she took a leap of faith. And for that, we must give our youth an opportunity, and they will take a leap of faith. Gabrielle, your presentation was very, very good, and I just want to say that this was a heck of a way to kick off our World Council of YMCA's 18th World Council on Empowering Youth. And on behalf of our group tonight, I'd like to present you